Phu Bai, Great Country Village. English translation of Phu Bai Leng Kv Dai. Ladies and gentlemen, relatives, and young people, Phu Bai is an ordinary village. But understanding things that are not normal, it will become a great village. Please cite the following facts for proof. Around the middle of the 20th century, great scientists in the world unveiled and discovered a new phenomenon of residual electricity in space, related to the connection with the electric multiplier system according to the law of rotation. Transformation of visible objects with invisible phenomena in the universe. The following is presented based on some main ideas of the Supreme Vehicle Buddhism for relatives and young people to study and learn, so that there is enough scientific basis to prove that the ancestors of Phu Bai village are our ancestors. We have contributed and explained more about the clarification of the meaning of modern scientific truth with the spiritual life of humanity in this new civilization of the 21st century. According to the documents of the Supreme Vehicle Buddhism, in the middle of the 20th century, the three great scientists that were Albert Einstein, Werner Heisenberg, and Niels Bohr talked about electrons moving around photons, protons, and so on. When electrons move freely in a certain direction, an electric current is generated. Static electricity is not the flow of electrons, but rather refers to objects that have more or less electrons than is needed to balance the positive area of the nucleus. This new discovery theoretically has controversial electrons, photons. According to Albert Einstein, saying that the physical world is objective, is real, namely that elementary particles such as photons and electrons are real with their basics such as position, mass, area, battery measurement persistent. Meanwhile, Niels Bohr thinks that the electron is just a wave, it has no mass, area or battery measurement at all. And Werner Heisenberg said that it is not possible to determine whether an electron is really a wave or a particle, it is both a wave, a particle, a wave nor a particle, and so on. The controversy between Einstein and Niels Bohr lasted until 1982. A Lawn aspects experiment on two gaps in electrons showed that electrons are just waves, and the victory went to Niels Bohr. And Albert Einstein was wrong. From this experiment it has been shown that electrons appear only when there is a good observer or device. It is this person or device that has replaced human consciousness, or the electric wave emitted from the sensor, i.e. the sensor of the device, causing electrons from invisible waveforms to turn into visible particles, which is matter, from nothing to something. If there is no person or device to follow, observe, then the electron is just an invisible wave in both space and time. This clearly shows that human observation and attention have generated a multiplier wave system that cooperates with electrons, just as electrons cooperate with electric waves emitted from a sensor. This has shown through the smartphone that we see information on the internet present everywhere, anytime. And when the electron becomes a visible particle, it appears on the phone screen in the form of writing, sound, picture or movie. That proves that matter is just consciousness, that is, a form of information. Officially made invisible waves turn into visible matter particles. This is the normative principle of modern science, which our ancestors of Phu Bai village taught their descendants to explain and prove invisible phenomena in the universe connected with the system. The human brainwaves, with the sights that we have seen in meditation, or in our dreams, come naturally to us beyond our normal understanding. That's what Buddhism calls that consciousness. Ignorance comes from the human brain. But in everyday life, the same thing happens. Imaginary concepts have been deployed synchronously for the six senses, making the six consciousnesses manifest in the brain into an extremely vivid and infinite realm, prolific. It is a short but very basic document in the new discovery of modern science of invisible phenomena in the large universe, connected and sympathetic to the small universe. that small universe which is your flesh and body. Now is the presentation in the process of scientists completing the proof of spiritual life with scientific aids. In the process of completing that truth, the ancestors of Phu Bai village made contributions by explaining and proving some more phenomena in the spiritual field as follows. First, in 1982. Although Albert Einstein had been dead 27 years at that time, he still accepted the error due to an argument with Niels Bohr. The experiment on the two holes of the electron, successfully performed by Alain Aspect, officially recognized Niels Bohr's statement that the electron is an electric wave. Since then, a new era of science has opened up, going deep into the invisible realm, and connecting with spiritual phenomena in which there is the existence of the soul of a dead person with a living person. This is the success of European and American science in the first step in the field of spirituality. 10 years later, circa 1992, the ancestors of Phu Bai village. They had a deep understanding of this field, so they had sympathized with the posterity to teach them. The human soul is an electric current, while the soul of a god or a saint is a positive electric current. At the same time, they have made a connection with their descendants to form a source of high-intensity synthetic electrical energy, capable of being passed on to a third person standing next to them. This transitional positive current penetrates, strongly entering the brainwave system of the third person, causing their body to lose balance, the body convulsing as if having epilepsy, and then lying face down to the sky. This phenomenon of transferring electricity through space. Around the beginning of the 20th century, genius scientist Nikola Tesla successfully experimented when using two very strong electric coils, and then leaving two 12-volt bulbs about 10 meters apart. The current from those two coils moves through space, making the other two light bulbs turn red. Thus, the spirit of Phu Bai village used his positive power to connect combined with the living descendants' electric multiplier system to form a highly aggregated source of electricity, causing the person standing next to receive that synthetic aura to convulse, tremble, etc. Pure science. We have presented this incident in many articles and videos in recent times, in which the special scientific video connected with spirituality is the video titled, Modern Science with Spiritual Life Part 8, published September 5, 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, you should visit to listen, to research, to learn, to have enough scientific evidence, to protect the traditional spiritual cultural values of the ancestors of our Phu Bai village. Ladies and gentlemen, relatives, and especially young people should remember more than 29 years ago that our ancestors taught us that the human soul is an electric current. This is probably the first Vietnamese in the country to state this. This is a fact that science has now proven. Next is the second case. Around the middle of the 20th century, near the end of the life of the great scientist Albert Einstein, he once said, "If there is any religion that agrees with the requirements of modern science, it is probably Buddhism." This sentence of Albert Einstein made some Buddhist monks and nuns hastily praised him, thinking he would help Buddhism solve some of the problems demanded by modern science. But he is of no help to Buddhism, other than his above statement. Therefore, in the Supreme Vehicle Buddhism, there was a comment about Albert Einstein as follows. Einstein clearly did not fully understand Buddhism, so he argued vehemently with Niels Bohr about whether photons and electrons are inherently specific or not. Because Einstein did not know that in the Avatamsaka Sutra of Buddhism, it was said that all dharmas have no intrinsic nature, that is, all dharmas have no intrinsic nature. That means that photons, or electrons and all other elementary particles do not have any inherent characteristics, but they need to be replaced by features and characteristics of the mind to be able to imagine. Object. Another passage in the Supreme Vehicle also talked about Einstein's mistake of thinking that photons and electrons are matter in the form of metaphysical particles, not invisible electric waves. Which proves that Albert Einstein did not understand the sentence, Sak bat di Kong, Kong bat di Sak, Sak tuk ti Kong, Kong tuk ti Sak, a mantra sutra of Buddhism. Meanwhile, the gods of Fubai village taught the postnatal generation that the human soul is an electrical wave emitted from the brain to fly into space. And then when that brainwave system met the combination of other electrical wave systems of the deceased remain in space to further increase the spirit of that descendant. Have the ability to fly high, fly far into the formations in space, to know the operation, circulation, evolution of invisible phenomena in the universe. This event, the spirit of Fubai village, has given the postnatal generation the opportunity to experience, explain and demonstrate the law of reincarnation, which Shakyamuni Buddha taught sentient beings over the past 25 centuries. This explanation and proof is completely new, and based on modern science, exactly as Albert Einstein said. This rule is implemented in the form that when two bodies of a man and a woman have relations and fuse with sperm to form a new being according to the genetic system, while a residual current of a certain soul penetrates through the body, the mother's respiratory tract and then mix with her blood from the moment of creation. Then combine and cycle through pregnancy, then birth, growth, maturity and degeneration. That being is always under the influence of another part of the soul. At the time of death, the soul is expelled as electrical energy into space. That is the law of reincarnation, which is justified according to modern science in the field of the invisible. This is a new discovery of international stature that the ancestors of Fubai village taught their descendants more than 29 years ago. Followed by the third case. Based on the investigation, the discovery of science has decoded the human soul as an electric current. In currents there is a negative, positive, or average charge. Based on this regular principle, the ancestors of Fubai village taught their descendants that in the bones of a corpse, there is always a pure electromagnetic system, and a pure electric system. This word will combine save with other electric multiplier systems of living descendants, to help descendants know some things in the earth, that is, the phenomenon of psychics in the search for corpses existing on earth. This we have clearly demonstrated in 3 videos about the difference between cremation and burial from the perspective of modern science, in order to protect the cultural values of Vietnamese spirituality from ancient times to the present is aligned completely with modern science. The above only mentioned 3 special cases of discoveries in the field of spirituality of national chi caliber that the people of Fubai village have contributed through experience due to the connection, guidance and instruction of the ancestors. Finally, we have something to hope that people and young people in our village should remember that today there are facts and science that have been discovered and proven to be true, which are immediately accepted and used by people. That fruit. There are other things that people keep secret and will use when needed. There are also things that science has discovered and proven to be true, but within the scope of philosophy in the invisible field, which the vast majority of mankind have not had the opportunity to absorb in order to understand the truth. Due to that, people still use the old, which has more value. At some point, the vast majority of humanity has realized the new truth. If it is suitable for modern civilized life, like it or not, people must give up the old to use the new. That's when our Fubai village will become great village. Ladies and gentlemen, relatives and young people, from this day on, we must all unite with one heart to write on the glorious history of our ancestors. Finally, I wish you all good health. Regards. Phuong Ngo and Phula. USA December 20, 2021.